Hey guys, welcome to episode 68 of the Rebel Scum podcast. I'm James Razile, joined with...
James Razile. Oh wait,
Yeah.
Brock Swing.
There's two of us. Brock is on location right now, and I am in a laundry room. Let's see if I can walk over to the laundry. It's been a very, very long week. You have been working nonstop all week.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've been able to do this. So let's do it because... after we did episode 67 last week, news dropped.
Yes.
News
About the news.
It was big news. Disney announced that their streaming service was going to have a live-action Star Wars TV show, a streaming show, as well as a Monster Inc. streaming show, which got me very excited on a personal level. But also, they announced that Rian Johnson will be creating a brand new Star Wars Trilogy. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a whole lot of stuff. But before we get into anything, I just want to remind everybody that we have the Last Jedi contest going on. Basically, all you have to do is email us, rebelscumbags@gmail.com, and tell us your predictions for The Last Jedi in 200 words or less. You can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/rebelscumpodcast. All the rules are there. Brock, do you have any, what do you think is going to happen in The Last Jedi? You have any predictions?
There's going to be the lightsabers. There's going to be starfighters that go like zoom, and then things are going to blow up, and there's going to be the Force and the spoons. Forks and the spoons.
I can't wait for more porgs. Bring on the porgs. Thanks for everybody that's been buying the porgs t-shirt this week too. It's been my email's been blowing up with it. It's been awesome. Other thing that happened earlier today, just came out today, so we don't have a graphic for this, but earlier today, Galaxy's Edge planet, the name of the planet, and a small description of the planet were announced. Brock, do you know the name and do you have the description in front of you?
Bantu or Batu, something along those lines, right? I read it as well.
Batu.
Did you write it? Batu.
Yeah.
It's a planet on the outer rim, I believe. So it's a new planet we've never been to, and it's kind of it sounds kind of like a Maz Kanata sort of place or a Mos Eisley Cantina where a lot of scum and villainy hangs out because it's too far away from the First Order. So that sounds really cool, and I am very excited for it. I mean, I was kind of like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if we went to, like, Endor or Tatooine? But I think you can still have the same fun experience regardless of where you go. And we know there's going to be stuff that's like, oh, yeah. So
I think it's smart to make it a planet we don't know because then you can do whatever you want with building this world. So the description they gave us here is, this remote outpost on the galaxy's edge was once a busy crossroads along the old sub-lightspeed trade routes, but its prominence was bypassed by the rise of the hyperspace travel. Now home to those who prefer to stay out of the mainstream, it has become a thriving port for smugglers, rogue traders, and adventurers traveling between the frontier and uncharted space. It's also a convenient safe haven for those intent on avoiding the expanding reach of the First Order. While Batu may be new to us, it is clearly already familiar to many from the Star Wars saga as a stepping off point for epic adventures.
This is going to be awesome. Like, you and I and Aaron, when we were in Florida for Celebration, we went to Universal Studios and experienced the Harry Potter world. I know this is Disney, but like, there's going to be the same kind of aesthetic or the attention to detail. Like, it's going to be amazing. Like, you go to a lot of like cons and stuff, and you'll see people dressed in cosplay where they'll do parades and stuff. But imagine what it'll be like if you're in this area at like 4:00. There's going to be Imperial forces chasing rebels. Like, that would be amazing. You're just in this crowd, all of a sudden, just like a blaster fight breaks up. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I see that as something that could be a thing, right? You know what I mean? It'll be an experience where everything is integrated. It's like, show up at this time, show up at that time.
Do you think When do you think, this isn't a Never Tell Me the Odds, but when do you think we're going to get a character mentioning Batu in either a film or a TV show or something?
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like as much as Star Wars likes to include everything they possibly can into every piece of media, for some reason in my head I just feel like it'll be something separate, if that makes sense. But maybe this is a new stepping stone for a theme park, because it's like you could have action figures for characters that only exist in the theme park. But then again, like you said, like you could put it in Rebels. I guess the question is, when is the theme park set time-wise? You know what I mean?
Well, it's set First Order.
First Order, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's like, will there be a mention of Rey, or will it be prior to Rey being part of the Rebel Alliance, or will Han be mentioned, or is he dead, or you know what I mean? Like it's where exactly does it fit? So then that's the question of like where you would put it in any new other media. So
I think you'd have to throw Rey. Rey has to be in it. Rey is their child. Without putting Rey in there, that's a huge missed opportunity. You're going to get Rey 110%. And I think, like you said, the Harry Potter world was fantastic, and I think this is going to 10 up it. Like they're going to take that formula what worked, and they're just going to be like, hey, we're Disney. Look at the money we're putting in this. You are going to want to come. You're going to want to bring your family, bring your, everyone you can. Spend the gazillion dollars on this weekend away in Batu in the Star Wars universe, and you're going to fly in the Falcon. Everything is going to be there, but it's there for a reason, and then you will find out the story of why they're there for that reason.
Yeah.
Speaking of reasons, what?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to move on to Patreon is what I was going to move on to, because we have a Patreon page now that you can help us out on Patreon so we can have better equipment so that Brock's audio won't sound like it does right now. Brock, say something quickly.
Hi.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, we need more equipment we have, the better, then the quality of the show can become better. We're working on making it better, but that's where we are right now. So we have a Patreon page. There are 4 tiers. Tier 1 is $1 a month, and you get everything a little bit early. Plus, you get our new Clone Wars show that will be debuting soon called Cloning Around. For $2, you will get all of that early access, Cloning Around, and you will get our documentary show, Star Wars Unleashed, where we do a documentary on Star Wars every few weeks. We do a little documentary show with Andrew Fantasia. And then for $3, you get more. And you'll get your emails read on the air, and then for $10 you can be on the air. For $10 a month you can be on the air. You will join Vote of No Confidence or Duel of the Fates, and we have some exciting news next week about Duel of the Fates. So stay tuned on the American Thanksgiving on Thursday. Thanksgiving to all of you down there, and to everybody else, the American Thanksgiving. Stay tuned there for some cool news on Patreon.com. So check it out, patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. It's that easy, and you can donate. And thank you so much for everybody that has. It means a lot, and we are working on getting a greater quality worth of content out to you weekly. And
for sure.
Yeah.
We need your money. Give us your money. Anyways, but yeah, thank you to all the people that have contributed so far. It's really an honor that people want to back what we do. Thanks, Mom. No, she doesn't.
Your mom might be one of them. Also, Journey to the Last Jedi if you're on Patreon, it'll start November 30th. For everyone else, December 1st until the 14th, every single day on the channel, there will be Star Wars content. We want you to come here, and we just want to talk Star Wars for 2 weeks straight until we watch The Last Jedi, and then we'll take a little bit off, and then we'll be back. So we're gonna have Votes of No Confidence. We're gonna do a commentary on The Force Awakens. Might be a Duel of the Fates. Not gonna lie. The Luke Skywalker book, the Canto Bight book. We're doing high grounds on those, reviewing those. Scavenger Scum will come back. You'll get to see what the Unleashed documentary is. We're gonna talk the holiday special, of course. And then of course on the 14th that night, so it might be up on the 15th depending on time, our review of The Last Jedi.
Woo-hoo. Oh boy, I can't wait.
It's going to be a busy month. It's going to be a busy month, but a good month, I think. It's going to be a lot of fun, and obviously we're going to cap it with a Star Wars show. So, I mean, for me, that's all that I really need in my life at this moment. How do you feel about that?
I'm good.
All right, let's move on to the meat of it all now. Rian Johnson's new Star Wars trilogy. What were your first thoughts?
I said from the beginning, I'm a huge Rian Johnson fan. I loved his movies prior to this, so I'm very interested to see what his new movie is. And after going to Celebration and seeing how enthusiastic he is for the franchise, like, we definitely want someone like this on our team. I speak for Lucasfilm, by the way. But someone made a good point how, like, everyone was mad when JJ got got hired for Episode 9, and he's made a Star Wars movie, and then Rian Johnson hasn't done anything. So, I'm not saying they're wrong, because maybe you didn't like JJ's Force Awakens, and you have huge faith in Rian, but, like, I don't know. But it's a good move. I think a lot of it is stemming from how there's been issues on, like, Han Solo, and then, like, the script writing for Episode 9. I think it's the right move because they need someone who's going to stay focused on it. So another four movies. Well, he's done this one. Another 3 movies. That's pretty good. And someone at the helm to just sort of hold the reins would be great. I mean, I guess that's what Kathleen Kennedy does, but it's great. I'm all for it. Hooray!
Well, Kathleen Kennedy holds the reins of all of Lucasfilm, so if they're going to do another Indiana Jones or Red Tails or Strange Magic, she's the one that's in charge of all of that. So I think they need somebody to say, and this is this is probably the weakness of DC films for a while, is that there was nobody. Like, Kevin Feige is different from, I guess he is somewhat Kathleen Kennedy, but Marvel is a giant universe. Lucasfilm is not a universe. Lucasfilm is a separate film. Star Wars is a universe. But so now you have Rian Johnson, who obviously made The Last Jedi and worked very well with Kathleen Kennedy and everybody at Lucasfilm. And, we saw from Celebration, he obviously loves the material, loves what he's doing. He loves the people he's working with, and the people he's working with seem to love him as well. He has an appreciation for it. And the thing that first came to my mind when I heard this was years and years and years and years and years ago, before I had seen Looper, you watched Looper and you said, and this is before Star Wars. I believe this is before he got Star Wars. You said, I love Looper, and I want to watch a movie in the universe of Looper. Now, obviously, Star Wars universe is different from the Looper universe, but what I'm saying about this now is he is someone that knows how to build a world, a universe that intrigues you enough that you're like, I want to see more happening there. And what we're seeing from The Last Jedi is, and just recently he said, this is not an homage. This is going to push Star Wars forward. And what I think is, and let me know your thoughts after, but what I think is this film's going to be a Star Wars film. It's going to be it's going to be a Skywalker film. We're going to watch it. We're going to follow along, blah, blah, blah. But then we're going to learn things about the Force, about the history of this world. And that is, I would bet right now, that is when he was writing this, that's when he said, I am interested in this. I want to make a movie about this. And so, they said that this new trilogy is separate from the Skywalker saga. It's a part of the Star Wars lore that has never been explored before. What do you think that this new trilogy could be about?
I don't know. Like, my initial response is always like, well, then it's a trilogy now about Rey and Finn and Poe, assuming their story can continue after Episode 9. Wait, I didn't read the full report. Is it saying it's totally different, or like is it sort of vague in exactly what it is?
No, it sounds like it's going to be something we have not seen before.
Interesting. I'm all game. We need to shake it up. Like they keep saying that, they keep promising that they're going to take Star Wars in a new direction. But where it's going right now, I have zero problem with. So I'm game for whatever. Of course, we got to remember we're now heading into a territory where it's like we might start to not like Star Wars movies. Because, I mean, I think Rian Johnson will deliver, but, I mean, there are people that do not like Force Awakens, and that's fine. And there's people that like... It's right now, even though some people are like, I didn't really like Force Awakens, I like Rogue One better. So it's like a comparison. It's not like, that's a piece of garbage. It's like, well, this is too much like New Hope. Like, okay, but like, they're not complaining about the quality. They're just like, this is not new. This is just a rehashing, which I think was necessary, but...
Wait, to that point, do you think that maybe that's why J.J. Abrams decided to come back for 9 because of the backlash that he's getting? He's like, no, I can make the Star Wars movie that I want to make. I just have that. I didn't get the opportunity because of this.
Yeah. That's a good point. I agree. Because I think his body of work is worthy of respect. I know you can poke holes in certain things he does. Totally understandable, but like he keeps getting hired by Hollywood because he keeps making money for different companies or whatever. But I mean, I think that should be put aside because now everybody's golden boy Rian Johnson is going to be the director of 4 of the movies. So I mean, he arguably could make a life career out of this if he wanted to. I mean. Now that it's owned by a company, that might change. You know, like George Lucas did whatever he kind of wanted because he was the boss, right? So I'm sure he answered to a lot of people, but this is different, right? You know, they answer to the mouse now. So, you know. But yeah, there's going to be so much Star Wars content in the next 10 years that, I don't know, the show might be garbage. I don't want it to be, but who knows? And then I don't know. Like the problem with these movies are they're so well loved that if you make new things, they have to outdo each other every time. And I think that's a little unfair on some movies. Like, doesn't have to, you know, Empire is great because of like, oh, I'm your father. What? Like that's crazy, but like that doesn't mean the precedent has to be that.
Yeah, I would say, you know, you look at, for me, Stranger Things. I loved season 1, and when season 1 ended, I was like, I don't know if I wanted season 2 because it felt like, aside from the very, very, very end, it felt like it wrapped up the story. It said, this is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end. There you go. We can move on. Our life is over. And then they're like, no, we have to do a season 2 because things that make money have to keep going, obviously. When I watched season 2, I loved every second of season 2 from beginning to end. And it didn't try. I mean, I thought it was predictable, the ending. Like, I think there's a point when you know how it's going to all unravel. But it didn't take away from the journey to the unravel. It's like when you watch Spider-Man. You know he's going to win at the end of the day. It's just you're watching the story. And it's the characters. And I think the thing with Star Wars is we can keep watching these characters. And now with this new Rian Johnson thing is we don't know who the characters are. So it's going to be just... the hope is it could be like A New Hope when that first came out. However, for you guys that saw that, you would know. I wouldn't know because, you know, I grew up with them all. But the question that I'm having now is what's going to really separate this from Valerian, you know, like from any other sci-fi film to come out, aside from the Force and the Wills. Like, will it still feel Star Wars?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, that was the thing about Star Wars. It was so revolutionary, and it created such a following that I would argue, hard to say what comes first. Like, not that they are the lead, but like comic books and Star Wars. Like, which fandom really came of age? The comics were before Star Wars, but like, or especially like Marvel, DC, but they're almost not comparable outside of the fact that they have a massive following. So, I don't know. I think it needs to stray away from making a franchise that's gonna it's gonna change your life. I'm like, okay, like, again, like, you can't set that that level. I mean, yes, you should, and then continue making good movies, but like, if at some point will become formulaic, and could you have a movie without the Force mentioned in it? You possibly could. Rogue One kind of does it. Kind of. No one like Vader's in it. Like there's mention of Jedi, but it's not the main focus.
Well, Donnie Yen is all about the Force.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess Han Solo might be the test, like because it could arguably have no lightsabers or the Force in it. If that does well, I don't know. I really don't know what to say. Like, I think now is a point where you have to start making new genres of Star Wars, where it's not just a massive saga. With Rogue One's a war story, but it still felt like Star Wars. Han Solo is probably going to be like a buddy cop feel, you know what I mean, or a heist feel. So gotta stay. What if it was a Star Wars movie that was super dramatic? I mean, like Star Wars is dramatic, but like, what if it was a romantic comedy? Like, could we watch a Star Wars film on that? Because it's like, how long do you deal with the storyline where it's like, it's the chosen one that will bring force balance to the galaxy? Like, when you get bored of that at some point, it's like, I just want to find out what they're doing in their off time. Do they drink coffee? Do they go to the local cantina? I don't know.
Yeah, you wonder too, because Star Wars is ultimately about good triumphing over evil. And at what point are we like, well, we know that story? Like, I'm really curious to see what this new trilogy could be. Do you think there's a possibility even like, because look, I think the Book of the Wills is showing up in The Last Jedi. I think that's the reason why there were Guardians of the Wills in Rogue One and Kyber Crystal. I think everything they do in the spin-offs is for the trilogy of films that they produce, whether it's the Skywalker saga or this new one. And the Wills idea is one that I always come back to, because I ever since reading the Aftermath trilogy of books, I've always liked this idea of Snoke being a fallen will, somebody beyond the Force in a lot of ways, maybe just pure dark side. Do you think there's a possibility that this new trilogy could deal with that? Maybe not Snoke specifically, or maybe it is a Snoke trilogy, and we see how powerful he actually is and how his power came to be and how perhaps he fell from grace.
I still, this is the problem. Like, even though we've talked about this for a year, I still cannot understand the Wills. I know the Book of the Wills are the crawl at the beginning. I know it's like a history of the galaxy. But what is a will? Like, is it a type of Force user? Like, that word is like, I know I could just read these books and find out, but like, I don't even know. So what is a fallen will?
What about, okay, how about, the priestesses, the priests from the Clone Wars? A fallen one of those. How about that? The priestess from what? Clone Wars.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
From Clone Wars.
In what episode?
Like
the ones that with like
Yoda meets them.
And Sorry?
Yoda meets them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. But like, then you have. I guess like they could in the next two movies explain it all. Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think these movies are going to tie into the Clone Wars in the slightest. But that's me.
I'm down for whatever. Like, it's just. I mean, this is all exciting stuff, but like, I'm like, okay, so what is going to happen? I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, we can guess as much as we want, but I feel like we need to see this movie. Not because I'm excited, but I feel like I can't tell you where the next step in Star Wars is going, because...
Well, you might not even find out from this movie. This movie, like The Last Jedi, might not even give you a clue into that. Because we could watch this movie and leave and be like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know what direction he wants to go. He just blew everything up that I thought was going to happen. Now what's he going to tell? And it could be something out of left field. It could just be Looper.
Yeah, it's hard to hypothesize at this point, which I know it's just... And especially since it's saying the next trilogy is going to be something completely new. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm excited though. Like, I think it's, without being as vague as I'm being right now, like, it's just like, I think it's an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan, and I don't even know how I would have handled this as a kid. Like, I'd be like, what? But, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember I was very excited when the prequel trilogy was announced, and I like those movies. So for me, it all worked out. But we're in a fascinating time to be a Star Wars fan right now. What do you guys think? What do you want to see from this new trilogy, or do you just want to let it be what it's going to be and not worry about it? Actually, I gotta tell you that I did a video with on the Dead of Nerds yesterday about Rey being a Palpatine, and I had to end the video. I had to end it by saying, look, you can think she's a Palpatine, you can think she's a Kenobi, you can think she's a Skywalker, you can think whatever you want, but when you go watch this movie in December and you put your butt in the seat, clear your mind of all of that, because if you go in there and you're like, she's going to be a Palpatine, and then you sit down and they're like, by the way, your grandfather, great-grandfather was Count Dooku, you're going to be let down, though. Inevitably, you're going to be let down. Like, if you get it right, you're going to be even more excited about it. But so that's just something I just want to bring up, because I think people, we do this podcast and we speculate every week for a year now, and we talk about Snoke, and Snoke's going to be this, Snoke's going to be that. But you know what? When we go watch the movie, I'm not going to be thinking about who Snoke is. I'm going to be thinking about sitting in the theater with my popcorn that hopefully we get for free, and watching, the opening crawl, and just be immersed in the movie and not worry, and in the back of my mind, not worry about everything, because I've said this to you before, I'm like, if they don't answer the Rey question, it'll be in the back of so many people's minds who our parents are for most of the movie, that it'll distract from the movie. But I'm just saying, when you watch the movie, don't worry about Rey's parents, don't worry about who Snoke is. Just have fun with what's in front of you. I think that's a key, and I think a lot of people, especially when you obsess over something, you forget these things.
Mm-hmm. These movies bring me such happiness. Like, the second the movie starts and that Lucasfilm green logo pops out on the screen, or it's usually green, and then it's like a long time ago, I got like goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like every time, even if I'm just watching it on TV, I'm like, here it is. Like,
I'm playing Battlefront II right now, and it starts with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And they actually do the Rogue One thing where you play a prologue and then the title hits, Battlefront 2, and then you go on in the planet. And actually, the planets are actually named on the bottom left of the screen, just like in Rogue One. So that looks like something that the spin-off films are going to be carrying, because I think they're doing the Battlefront campaign mode similar to, like, it's a movie, basically. Like, they're like, hey, this is a movie. It's a spin-off movie. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying it. Totally. I'm really enjoying that game. Have you watched the mid-season finale of Rebels?
Yes, I watched it today while I was working.
What were your thoughts on it?
I liked it. First thing, did they explain how they got X-Wings? Because that's how that opens. Did I miss that at some point?
No, they're just in them.
That's I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know how to feel about it. I think it lagged for me for a bit. There's a lot of action, which is funny because there is a lot of action and stuff. But there are points where I'm like, what's going on? Maybe I'm just tired and cranky. But by the end of the episode, I was like, yeah, this is pretty sweet. This is like, it's. I would say the last 10 minutes, I was like, yeah, I liked what's happening here. I felt emotions for a cartoon that was pretty, rare. It's a kid's show, regardless of what you think. Yeah, I love what Herod does in this episode, and then just being able to see more Rook, that was sweet. So, it's, you know what? It's a good mid-season thing, because now we're like, oh crap, Thrawn has Hera, right? So now they got to go do something about that. But yeah, I would say that this half season is pretty much right up the same alley as of past Rebels, where it's just sort of like this is kind of cool to start, and then it's like, okay, and then you just gotta go across. It's not terrible, but it's like, I want more. I don't know. It's a good show, guys. All right.
I actually, I really liked this episode. I felt like this was one of the first 20-minute episodes that I was like, I was okay with it from beginning to end. Kanan still alive and kicking. I think though this is when you knew his time was done. I think he knows that he needs. I think this is what I think anyway. And I said this on I Rebels. I think he knows that he needs to sacrifice himself to save Hera for the good of the rebellion. He got his kiss with Hera. He said his goodbye to the crew. Now he's alone, and this is his end game right here.
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't get that sense. But you're right. Like, there's that feeling that like something has to happen to this crew, even though we know Hera survived till at least Jedi. If we're accepting Forces of Destiny. Yeah, it's questionable exactly where it all goes. But I'm not sure if I see like all this, like him and the wolf is interesting. I feel like there's something happening there, but you get a sense that it's like a premonition of his demise then, or
not demise. I think it's he knows that it's time for him to become one with the Force.
And that's what I think. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
We'll see.
I don't know. I was surprised. Why wasn't Wedge in this episode?
Because his doppelganger was.
I was like, who's this guy? So, is he from another episode? But yeah, it was great to see X-Wing, so I was pretty psyched about that. I love the part where like what was the other pilot's name? Mar or something, or Mud or
Mart.
You remember? Mart, thank you. That was what it was. I liked how when they found him in his R2 unit or R3 unit is trying to save him. I'm like, that's what it's about. Like, just because they're robots, they're not servants. They are like they have thoughts themselves, and this R3 is trying to like save his pilot. Like, I love that, and it reminded me of Poe Dameron, where one of the members of Black Squadron keeps getting astromech droids blown up, so none of the astromech droids will work with her because they don't want to die. I love that idea. Like, this is what makes Star Wars so amazing. These little extra details. But yeah, it was great. I think if anything else that stood out for me. But yeah, I finished Thrawn, so it is really interesting to watch like Governor Price and Thrawn and all this stuff. You're like, oh, so yeah.
All right, let's move on to Never Tell Me the Odds. Today's odds are brought to you by the Rebel Scum podcast. The first odd, the odds of Iden Versio appearing in live action.
I want to say 99% because we already have an actress that looks like that. They just base it on her, which is always a genius move. I like her as an actress. That'd be great. Though I don't know what happens to her in the game, so
I would love that. I don't know what happens to her either, but I do know her story does not end in the game, and there's a DLC, free DLC. So stop crying. A DLC for more levels with Iden in the campaign mode. So that's coming in December, I believe, either right before Last Jedi or right after Last Jedi. I'm not sure if it's in the Finn Phasma download or not, but that's coming. So her fate is not sealed. There are rumors swirling about her and somebody else right now. We won't get too much into that because I don't want to spoil the gameplay. I will say this, though. I am playing Battlefront. I'm doing the campaign. I'm doing a lot of non-campaigns. And I'm having a blast. I'm really liking the campaign. The story's kind of cool. I'm kind of digging it. Luke gets a compass, which we'll talk about later. Not today, but another podcast. And it's kind of cool. Right now I'm on a Han Solo level, and you get to see Han and Maz kind of talk, and Han has a beard, which is kind of cool to see. Not to spoil anything. I'm sorry. But I'm gonna go full Brock on this. Yeah, I think It would be really cool to see her in there, because now there's a book and this video game, and like you said, there's an actress that's going to play that plays her and looks just like her, which is genius, like you said. And she seems to really love the character and love the experience. She did the audiobook for this Inferno Squad novel. She did that, and apparently she kept calling Christy Golden to like talk about the book and be like, oh, what's the character, what's in the character's mind, while she like, and this is for a video game, and she was getting all into this, and she loved it. She was at Star Wars Celebration, we saw her there, and I would absolutely love to see it. I just don't know if it's in their plans. And this story spans 30 years. This campaign mode spans 30 years, so I don't know what you would tell in there, but she has an interesting arc, pretty cool arc. And if you read Inferno Squad, you will see that the arc kind of starts in Inferno Squad and carries through Battlefront 2. But if you have not read Inferno Squad, the book, it does not affect Battlefront story mode whatsoever. I'll say that. There you go. Our next odd, the odds of Snoke being Rey's father.
It's just weird for me, so I'm going to go 25%.
That's kind of high.
Just because, like, the odds, 25%, that it's not. Oh, sorry. For it? Yeah, anyways, my problem is, like, we don't know what he is, and it's just, like, I know people can look different from their parents, but, like, this is just way too vast of a difference, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go 25% as well. Why not? I don't know why he has to be her father. So I'm over that. And our final odd, the odds we haven't actually heard what a porg sounds like yet.
I thought this one up because I was watching the trailer recently, and it's just sort of weird. The sound it makes kind of doesn't look the same. Like it's a weird sound that doesn't really match its mouth moving. Not that I'm an expert in porg calls. I just thought that I just came in my head. It's like, how amazing would it be that the sound that we keep hearing is not what they actually sound like? It's like, what? Like they're like blocking something out. Like it actually can talk. I don't know. Probably is the sound. Because are any of the toys? Do they make noise here of the porg?
Yeah, they do.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna go 40% on this one.
I'm gonna go 0. We've definitely heard what a porg sounds like. Unfortunately. So that was Never Tell Me the Odds. Now we're going to do a little segment that we like to call What Up, Star Wars?
What up, Star Wars? What's going on?
I'm just going to Google Star Wars. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock at night. I can't see anything happening right now. But it is only 6 o'clock on the West Coast, so.
Yeah,
you never know.
I will let you do that. I'm using my phone currently. So I can't really. You just see me pointing at the screen. It's like, boop, boop, boop.
Star Wars at Canadian Tire. Shop online, in store today.
For what, Star Wars, or just do it?
It says Star Wars at Canadian Tire. I don't know.
Jedi running time is confirmed at 150 minutes, so it is the longest Star Wars film ever made. Just like I said earlier, The Last Jedi is an homage, and it pushes the franchise forward. The Last Jedi. So Disney couldn't let EA's Battlefront 2 drama ruin Star Wars. Apparently, I think it was Bob Iger called someone at EA and said, "Fix this." So you know what? I gotta say this about the in-game purchases. I didn't really give a crap. I wasn't gonna get them. Like, you know what's scary to me?
You're gonna buy. See.
You know what's scary to me is the precedent that this sets overall. Like, so now, Brock, if you design something and you're like, I'm going to charge you $1.50 every time you hit like, I'm going to go on Reddit and complain about that. And then if enough of us do, we're going to expect you to change it now. But you're going to be like, no, I'm not going to change it. That's what scares me about all this more than anything. Is like, okay, it's cool. It's like when they ruined Shredder in the Ninja Turtles movie. Because everybody cried that he wasn't Japanese, and then all of a sudden they had to shoehorn in, a Japanese guy, and you're like, well, this plot actually worked without him being shredded. Like, sometimes, I mean, this one I think they I wouldn't have bought this stuff. I don't care. Like, I unlocked Vader and Luke in 2 days. It took me 2 days to unlock both of them, and I suck at the game. I make I earn so less credits than everybody else playing because I'm so bad, and it still took me only 2 days, like maybe 4 hours tops to unlock both of them. And in that time I could have unlocked other characters if I wanted to instead of them, but I didn't. I don't care anyway. So, but that's a personal.
This is no different from the Disney Infinity games where you bought all the little statues, or Skylanders, which I don't know about Infinity, but Skylanders was a huge franchise, and somebody boiled it down, I think, on IGN that if you were to want to complete the game, not that I have played it, so I can't really speak to how it all works, to play the game and complete it as all the things that you can do on, because I think there's expansions, you would spend, and then all the characters and all that. If you wanted to do everything that the game sets out for you to do, you would spend up to $200 to $300 on a game. So, like, yeah, that's kind of crazy, but, like, that's genius. Like, I don't know why they haven't done that with Pokemon, quite honestly. But anyways, like, I was reading the article, because we will talk about this in the news. I get it. Like, you don't want to spend more money on an $80 game, but there is a thing called DLC, which you will spend on, or a season pass. So everyone who wants to play this game to a full extent is going to drop $100 max. I mean, in American, it might be a little bit cheaper, but, like, you're going to do that. And, like, being able to buy those things is just so you can get ahead faster. I know it's random, but, like, they're trying to make a game that you will want to play for hours, which arguably is the point of Battlefront. You just want to go and play and shoot people for hours on end. So they're like, it's going to take 4,000 hours to complete. I'm like, yeah, you just spent $80 on a game or $70 or whatever. Yeah, you want it to last as long as possible. So I don't get the point.
Yeah, that's how I am when I play Smash Brothers. Like, I want to be Dr. Mario, but it takes me freaking forever to unlock Dr. Mario. But I don't cry about it. I don't write Nintendo, oh, why would you? I just, man, honestly.
I prefer, like, you have to do this to get that character rather than wait for a DLC or buy something. Oh, they're both the same thing. So, I don't get the problem.
Whatever. We, to talk about all that all day. I'm sure we'll get comments on that and also people just hate EA. We have to remember that as well. People just hate EA. So if EA does something, they're ready for it. You know, they're like, oh, they got the gloves out, they got the knives ready. They're like, oh, EA, say something, boycott. So,
and look how quickly they fixed it. Like, if this was 15 years ago, you'd be like, sorry.
You know what's funny is, so yesterday they announced that there are no more microtransactions. So yesterday was actually the day, because, you know, I played it for a couple of days, and then yesterday I was like, oh, I want to see how you buy something. I wasn't going to, but I just was like, how do you buy it? Like, I couldn't even, like, if you asked me 2 days ago to buy something on Battlefront, I wouldn't have known how. So yesterday I was like, I want to see how, and I could not find it. And then the article came out that they took it off. But it was just like, I was telling Josh from Den of Nerds, I'm like, look, I love this. I can't tell you how to buy anything, though. I'm literally just playing it. I'm shooting things, and I'm getting killed left and right by droids and clones, and that's all that I really want from this game. I don't... You know, people will be better than me, but people are going to get better than me because they're better than me anyway. So I'm going to take the weapons I can, take those star cards that are given to me, luckily, and then I'm going to work my way up somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It's just silly, quite frankly.
Right.
But yeah, what else? Is that it for what's up in Star Wars?
That's it. Let's move on to the Holo-news.
Holo-news, and we'll just inevitably go back to this topic of EA, but... Excuse me while I get my notes out. Am I on the screen right now?
No.
Cool. I gotta touch my phone. So anyways, let me get up my notes. First story today, if I remember correctly, was... Oh, the Padme YA novel. Is this thing? There we go. So it was announced on Jedi Bibliotech, which I believe is a German or Russian Star Wars site. I clicked on it to see what it was, and could not understand what was being read. So, but apparently this was picked up also by Making Star Wars through Jedi Bibliothèque that the next YA novel will be called Padme, and it's coming out April 24th, 2018. We don't know anything about the author's synopsis, but I'm sure we'll hear about it soon. It's supposed to, it's not really, we don't have any information besides that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to read something on Padme, because until the Clone Wars show came out, we were like, what is this character? So I'm pretty interested in that. I'm sure you'll be picking it up, James, because you love prequel stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I was talking to Andrew about this when they announced it. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with Padme and how they correct her. Because I had this thing we talked about a few weeks ago where I'm like, I wish they came up with an idea that she like faked her death at the end of Revenge of the Sith. She like actually does lead the rebellion until she tragically dies at the hands of Palpatine or something like that. That would be cool. But yeah, I might check it out.
Yeah, I mean, YA's the nice thing about it is it's a quick read. I just finished the Luke Skywalker book, and I was like, wow, I read fast. I was like, oh wait, this is less words per page. Okay, next story. The infamous Reddit, what are they called? Reddit posts about this whole issue with Battlefront II. So we all know the drama of it, but this is the biggest Reddit post stream, I believe, that in Reddit history at 600,078 points as of last Wednesday. Oh wait, no, that's not right. I'm not reading this right. I wrote it down. Sorry. Anyways, it was the biggest Reddit thread, so it's pretty crazy. All after someone representing EA said that the intent was for what they were trying to do with Battlefront 2 was to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. And I kind of agree with that, but the writer of this article was kind of like, meh. I think this was in Slate. But they pointed out on this thread that for the rough cost of unlocking all of Battlefront 2's content was $2,100 or 4,528 hours of your time. And also it goes on to say how EA is the worst company in America, was voted 2 years in a row, blah, 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 blah. So anyways, that's kind of cool that Star Wars related topic was the biggest thing in Reddit history. As we already just said, I kind of disagree with the issue here. Yeah, that seems insane that you have to spend 4,000 hours of your life on this game to complete it, but isn't that what gamers want? They want a game that kind of lasts forever, and we're paying $80 for these games. We better get our full worth out of it. Anyways, next story was that the Prince Harry and Prince William, as we already know, were on the Star Wars set and will be performing as two stormtroopers. Now, also will be joined by Tom Hardy and what was his name? Tom Barlow, who I do know. He's a musician, but I do know him. But apparently they're all on the same scene, so that's pretty cool. We won't know, but I think it says here that they will appear together in the same scene, guarding Boyega's character Finn in an elevator. Yeah, so I guess we'll look out for that. It's like, hey, that's them. I'm curious if they'll do a pun or something. So you're like, yeah, it's these guys. But I'm pretty sure we will not see their faces because that kind of takes away from the whole thing. But yeah, apparently it was a fun time. John Boyega was like, it was really cool because he gets to meet all these people and be in this massive movie. So yeah. Cool new people in Star Wars. And I believe this is our last story. No, second last story. Paul Bettany was at the Rhode Island Comic-Con, and he mentioned that his character will be a very cool intergalactic gangster. And we've seen him already in Ron Howard's Twitter feed wearing his costume, and he does look kind of like a criminal of some sort. Though I thought he was going to be like Michael B. Williams' character, where he's half like sort of animal alien, but I guess not. Maybe that's changed up a bit. But yeah, that's kind of neat. So it sounds like he's going to be a villain that is kind of treads both paths of like, ooh, we hate him, ooh, we love him, ooh, we hate him. But like in a Han Solo film, kind of expect that, right? Because Han is sort of a character. It's like, whose side is he really on? And in our last story, Daisy Ridley revealed that Rey will spend very minimal times with the Porgs. Even though she's on Octo, and I'm sure she's in scenes with them, there's not a lot of time spent with Rey and Porgs. She allegedly will have more important things to focus on in her life instead of the adorable space bird. So, cool. Can't say much to that. It kind of makes sense because, yeah, why would you spend the time? And we already know that Chewbacca has his own book coming out, Chewbacca and the Porgs. So, this has been the Holo-news.
All right, let's move on to top 5.
That was a long time of me just talking to myself.
Yeah, well, I wanted to hear what you had to say. Also, because of the way we're recording it, the more we talk over each other, the more I have to edit. So, there you go. Today's top 5 are top 5 ideas for the live-action Star Wars show on the Disney streaming service. So, my number 5, Old Republic.
So, question before I start saying my stuff. Is this what the type of show it is, or things they could tackle? You know what I mean? Like, is it like the show? There's only one show announced so far, right?
Yeah.
What will the show be? What do we want? What do we want the show to be?
Gotcha.
So my number 5, Old Republic, because it's a popular one. I think it makes a lot of sense to do on a show, and if they can throw the kind of budget at it that Game of Thrones and the Marvel shows on Netflix get, then why not? Old Republic right there. Then you have more time to tell a story. You can have multiple seasons of the story. You don't have to be bogged down with 3 episodic films. You can do whatever you want in as much time as you need.
Yeah, it's interesting because they announced the Lord of the Rings show that for Amazon, I believe. They're gonna have a budget of like $1 billion or something like that. So they're like, well, we're going to do this movie. So that's the precedent now. So they can accomplish anything. So my number 5 is sort of a joint effort, I believe. I put it low because I've mentioned this before. Anything Bounty Hunters would be amazing. So the split is between Bounty Hunters and sort of the seedy underbelly of the galaxy, but I call it Black Sun. It's like, let's just, instead of like making up something new, like take Black Sun, which has been mentioned, and just make that, and then just how you could have bounty hunters in that, or 2 separate things would be great too. But like, yeah, that's my number 5.
My number 4 is the nitty gritty, the dirty underworld of Star Wars. That 1313 show that was it a video game or the show that they were playing before. That is my number 4. I would like to see it. Like you said, bounty hunters, the same type of thing. We get to see that happening, and it's in a TV world. I think that makes the most sense because I don't think Star Wars is going to go R-rated on film. I don't think they're going to go R-rated on a streaming service, but I think they can go darker. And I think doing bounty hunters that you can make look like Star Wars characters like Boba Fett or whatnot, you can make it familiar enough for new viewers to tune into it.
Awesome. My number 4 is low as well because I think that this could be a fun thing down the line, but maybe it won't be the initial show. But pod racing. Just about pod racing, like just the life of pod racing and all the characters around it. Because think about that. What we saw, the minimal bit we saw was very interesting to the point that like the video game was fun. All those characters just put around that, and you don't even have to make any new or bring any combination. Like you don't have to bring in Luke or Leia or whatever. You can just have here we go. Like here's this guy that looks like a clock. His name is Ben Quadrados. Like that'd be awesome.
My number 3 is Life Day special. Just every episode takes place in preparation to Life Day. That's my number 3. What's your number 3?
Going 2 and 1 there. I'll put this out. I am a supporter of Sebastian Stan as young Luke Skywalker, because he does you could make him look like that. But people are like, well, we've already seen young Skywalker, but we could just have him go off and look for the Jedi. It could be called Jedi Search or something, or like I don't know, Magnum Jedi or something like that. He wears a thing, but that'd be cool. I want to know more. I want to know what Luke was up to. So.
My number 2, like you said earlier, pod racing. I love pod racing. Everyone knows I love pod racing. Just make an entire movie about pod racing. Or a show, about pod racing, and yeah, it could be really, really a very intriguing show. Like because that is a dirty sport. People play it. The drivers are characters unto themselves. Everything about it is fascinating if you actually break it down. And if you don't like the Phantom Menace, I still don't care because it is a fascinating world that it can take place in. So I'm going to go pod racing number 2.
Nice. My number 2 is Old Republic. Big fan of games. I think it's been the buzzworthy Star Wars show choice for a long time. So yeah, go for it. I think it's definitely a step in a direction that's like, hey, let's do something new. There you go. And it's like, I think it's a fresh way to talk about Jedi and Sith without, making a new Skywalker saga.
Exactly. And like I said earlier about what I said was it's familiar still because you have Jedi and you have Sith and everybody knows what those are. So you can watch it and appreciate it even if you don't. Even if you aren't as consumed by Star Wars like we are, you still will be interested enough in that. My number 1, this is a big one. It kind of ties into my number 2. My number 1 is the story of little Ben Quadrados learning to become a pod racer and training for the Boonta Eve Classic. And the whole time it's him training, he's preparing for it. And the series finale is the Phantom Menace pod race scene, and his pod doesn't start. And that's the series. We get to see him train, the blood, the sweat, the tears he puts into it, the hours of him training to be a pod racer. And at the end of it, his pod don't start.
I'm telling you, man, Disney owns Lucasfilms. They can make this happen. We open on the castle from Beauty and the Beast. Cogsworth is walking down the hall, and then a dimensional portal sucks him into the Star Wars universe, where he is forced to drive as a pod racer. Ben Quadrados. How much would you lose your mind if you're like, here's our new show, Quadraneros, and you're like, what? There's a new Ben in town. Anyways. My number 1, and this is strictly because this is what I want to see, I just want a show about X-Wing pilots. Just Rogue, you can call it Rogue Squadron, you can call it Rebel Squadron, I don't know, you can call it whatever you want. But I think that would be fantastic, and it's doable. I mean, look how successful Battlestar Galactica in like the newer version was, and that was legit spaceships and guys and little starfighters. It's easy, and now they have more money and better technology. It would be amazing.
I'd be down for that. I'd be down for any of the shows that we mentioned. Guys, what are your top 5 ideas for Star Wars live action TV shows? Comment down below. All right, that is all for the 68th episode of the Rebel Scum podcast. I do want to mention, I forgot to mention this off the top, the Last Jedi contest ends on December 4th. It'll end right before all the screenings happen for The Last Jedi. I think, so no cheating, guys. Brock, where can everybody find you at?
You can find me in Instagram and Twitter at BFSmink. I do not have Battlefront 2 yet, so do not even attempt to look for me on that. And I have Xbox, so...
Well, people also have Xbox. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Petzafina, PEZZFINA. Also on PlayStation 4, where you can honestly kick my butt at Battlefront 2 and earn all the credits you need to unlock everything you need to unlock for free on that game. All right, guys, thanks so much. It's been a blast. Next week, Brock and I will try to be in the same room so he doesn't sound like this. Brock, say something. All right, guys, see ya, and may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.